Pabongkha Rinpoche, Deching Ningpo. Pabongkha Rinpoche is his title because he was thought to be the abbot of Pabongkha Monastery, a small monastery, a small retreat. So Pabongkha Rinpoche means the abbot incarnate of Pabongkha. That's how he's got his name, Pabongkha. It's Pabongkha. Deching Ningpo is his actual name. That's the name that his teacher gave him. Example, my title name is Tsem Rinpoche because I come from the monastery of Tsem Monastery. So I'm Tsem Rinpoche. I'm the Rinpoche of Tsem Monastery. Tsem, again, means teeth. Because in our monastery, we had a shrine that had Tsongkhapa's teeth. It was a very big relic. Many people will come to worship Tsongkhapa's teeth because it's a relic. It's holy. So I'm the Rinpoche of Tsem Monastery, the temple of the tooth. Okay, so when you're calling me precious teeth. Every time you say Tsem Rinpoche, it means precious teeth. And I didn't say precious dentures, I said precious teeth. Okay, that's one. So my ordination name from Dalai Lama is Tenzin Sopa. So my name would be Tsem Rinpoche Tenzin Sopa. Just like this one, Pabongkha Rinpoche Deching Ningpo. And my recognition name is Yönden Gyatso. So my full name is Tsem Rinpoche Tenzin Sopa Yönden Gyatso. Of course, if you all had to call me that all day long, you'd have a lot of imprints, too long. Okay? Pabongkha Rinpoche Deching Ningpo Jampa Tenzin Chinle Gyatso was one of the greatest masters of the 20th century and one of the most influential teachers in Tibet. He had acquired the teachings from Sakya and Nyingma, the lineages of Ganden Tenzin and Ngulchu Dhammabhadra, and collected over other valuable teachings from various venerated sources during his lifetime. So Pabongkha Rinpoche wasn't known as a scholar, but what he did was he took teachings from the Nyingma, he took teachings from the Sakya, he took teachings from a very, very advanced practitioner called Ganden Tenzin and Ngulchu Dhammabhadra, and he combined these teachings. And he practiced and taught these during his lifetime. In 1959, when many Tibetans departed Tibet, Pabongkha knew that he would not be able to leave. Therefore, he actually transmitted all these important teachings to a single heart disciple, Trijang Rinpoche, who became the tutor of the 14th Dalai Lama. In this way, all the transmissions could then be secured, passed on to His Holiness, as well as other high Gelugpa Lamas. This became the living foundation of the Gelugpa lineage we have today. So Pabongkha knew when they left in 59, he can't go, he will die soon. So instead of having all the teachings he had wasted, he passed it all to his heart disciples, principally Trijang Rinpoche. So Trijang Rinpoche received hundreds and hundreds of teachings from Pabongkha. And Trijang Rinpoche, when he came out of Tibet, he taught it for 30, 40, 50 years. And then that's how we got it from our teachers from Trijang Rinpoche. Okay? That's a little background so you know more. Pabongkha was born north of Lhasa in a town called Tsawali in Yerungshang district of the state of Tsang. Okay? His family is part of the nobility and had owned a modest estate called Chapel Gershi. They were of a small family, very modest, not rich at all. Okay? They had a small estate. It is said that on the night that Pabongkha Rinpoche was born, a light shone in a room and people outside the house had a vision of the protector of the roof. So on the day he was born, the night, from his room, people can see bright lights come out. They didn't have electricity. Bright lights come out, and on the roof of his house, they saw Pabongkha Rinpoche's personal Dharma protector appear. Okay? As a child, he has already exhibited unusual qualities and thus was taken before Shapa Rinpoche. Shapa Kyabje Losang Darge, one of the leading religious figures of the day. Later on, he was found to be a reincarnation of the Changyal line, which included the well-known scholar Changyal Roba Dorji. The lamas of this line had done much teaching in the regions of Mongolia and China, including in the court of Chinese emperor himself, and be the royal tutor of the emperors. This lama is highly attained. The regal position has enabled him to accomplish a great deal for Tibetan Buddhism institutions in China, Mongolia, and Tibet. Changyal Roba Dorji was also the student of the 7th Dalai Lama and teacher of the 8th. He was an important lineage holder in several adept traditions of Father and Mother Tantra. What is that saying? I'm reading it fast because I'm going to explain to you. What is it saying? That when he was very young, a toddler, he exhibited signs of reciting Dharma texts, of wanting to do rituals, of meditating, wanting to wear robes. He exhibited very unusual signs as a young child that people knew that his imprints from his previous life was very strong. Because we repeat our imprints. Okay? And so they brought him to Shapa Kyabje Rinpoche. Shapa Kyabje was a leading religious figure in his day. And Shalpa Chögye recognized him as Changyar Ropa Dorji. Who is Changyar Ropa Dorji? Changgya is a corrupted Chinese word. The original is Chinese, but the Tibetans cannot pronounce it well, so it became corrupted. It sounds like Changgya. What it is originally, nobody knows now. But it was a title given to Pabongkha's previous life as the imperial tutor to the emperor of all China. So Pabongkha's previous life was the root guru of the Chinese emperor. So the Chinese emperor being such a great personality and having power over so many kingdoms and scholars and masters, will not pick just any lama to tutor him. So Pabongkha came from a line of lamas who were the emperor's own tutors. Okay? And with his position as Changyar Rinpoche, he was able to bring Buddhism to many parts of China and Mongolia. The Pabongkha line of tukuls have very strong connection to China. Each incarnation likes Chinese brocades, likes Chinese music, likes Chinese food, likes Chinese culture. And let me let you in on a little secret. The current Pabongkha Rinpoche is about 30 plus years old, and he's living in China right now. He left India, he lived in Tibet, he left Tibet, he's living in China now. And he travels in China teaching right now as we speak. So every incarnation always somehow find their way back to China. Nobody tells them to. Okay, I know what you guys are thinking. Too bad we can't switch Tsem Rinpoche for that one. Too late. No refunds. No. And he was also the teachers and the students of the line of Dalai Lamas. And on top of that, he's an important lineage holder of father and mother Tantras, which is Yamataka, Puyi Samatra, Hiruka. However, the name Changyar had strong Chinese connotations. As the Tibetan government, where people were already sensitive to the pressures put on them from China, the name Changyar was ruled out and the boy was declared Pabongkha. So during the time where he was recognized, he couldn't take his name Changyar. Do you know why? Because China and Tibet at that time were having some disputes. So to name him Changyar would not be a politically good move. I'll give you an example. Right now in Malaysia, if you were to name me, I can't say, it's quite political. Okay, I better not. Okay, it wasn't politically correct to call him Changyar at that time, so they had to give him a substitute name. They couldn't give him his real name, so they called him Pabongkha, which was very low ranking. Because if he got the name Changyar, his throne would be very high. The emperor of China would invite him again. He would have great wealth, great ladrangs, a lot of students, but he couldn't get that name, so he got a very low-ranking name. But he still made himself very great in his life. There was a small monastery atop the rock named Pabongkha. Hence, he was eventually recognized and throned as a late abbot of that monastery, Pabongkha Monastery. For this reason, Rinpoche is documented as the second Pabongkha and was sometimes referred to as Pabongkha Kentru. That means the first one was his previous life, the second one is Kentru. Kentru means what? Ken is abbot, Tru is incarnation. So abbot incarnation of Pabongkha Monastery. But actually it's not his second, he's had many incarnations already. Does everybody understand that? All right? It is commonly believed that he was also the reincarnation of Tsako Ngawan Chakpa, one of the main disciples of Lama Tsongkhapa and the founder of Detsang. He is also one of the main disciples of Lama Tsongkhapa. Okay? It was Shalpa Chögye Losang Rinpoche who foretold that if the boy was placed in Gyalrong House, Serame, something wonderful would happen with him in the future. So this High Lama Shalpa Chögye who recognized him predicted, if this boy is enthroned, the robes are put on him, and he's put in the monastery, he will grow up to be something very powerful and beneficial. Shalpa Chögye predicted. Shalpa Chögye didn't live to see it, but he predicted it. Pabongkha Rinpoche's full name was Kyabje Pabongkha Jesun Jampa Tenzin Chinle Gyaltso Pe Sangpo. Sounds like Malay royalty, very long name. Which means the Lord, protector, the one for Pabongkha, the venerable and glorious master whose name is the loving one, keeper of the Buddha's teachings, ocean and mighty deeds of the Buddha. Thank God we don't have to call him by his English name. He was also affectionately known as Deching Ningpo. So we can call him Kyabje Deching Ningpo. which translate into the essence of great bliss. Dechi Ningbo means the essence of great bliss. The king of great bliss from the bliss palace, palace of bliss, meaning a high attained being who is already one with Hiruka. So people call him Dechi Ningbo because Pabongkha Rinpoche has become one with the tantric deity Hiruka and Vajrayogini. So when you see Pabongkha, you are not looking at a normal lama, you're looking at a tantric deity in human form. I talked to this one Rinpoche in Sarah. He's much older than me and he's very renowned. He's an abbot now. Very humble. Every single day he would circumambulate in the monastery. He would circumambulate around Pabongkha Rinpoche's house because it's his guru. He told me himself. He said that Pabongkha at that time was probably, about 16, 17, 18 years old. The current one. And he was circumambulating around the house and he stopped and looked at the window. He saw Pabongkha Rinpoche in the window and he folded his hands. Then he looked away, he looked again. He said, in the place of Pabongkha, he saw a red lady. A lady was red, crimson colored, long black hair. And he was thinking, hey, what's a lady doing in his room? Then he looked again, it was Pabongkha again. He told me himself. I said, Rinpoche, what does that mean? He says, I think Pabongkha manifested who he is to me. I said, what does that mean? He says, I saw Pabongkha who he is. He's Vajrayogini, he's Hiruka. Because Vajrayogini and Hiruka are one. This Rinpoche himself told me. This Rinpoche now is in his late 50s, early 60s. He says, I saw Pabongkha as a red lady. And then he switched back to a monk. He saw with his own eyes. I had no doubts because this Rinpoche who told me is very holy. All right? So when they tell you these stories, I have people who can corroborate. You might think, well, they're just stories. Well, look, people can be witnesses and put people in jail or death sentence, or people can swing the jury's decision just by an eyewitness. Well, why not eyewitness for this? Okay? He was an extraordinary master for the Hiruka body mandala and the Vajrayogini practice. And he had special responsibility for the mother tantra. There is a famous story of how Hiruka actually appeared to Pabongkha when he visited Chimburi in Tibet, where there is an image of Hiruka. This is where the blood drinkers mountain are, and his name refers to Hiruka, the blood drinker. Why do we refer Hiruka as blood drinker? Blood is considered the fountainhead of our body, of our life. Without blood, we cannot survive. So Hiruka, the drinker of blood, is one that drinks the blood of your body that contaminates you. So he drinks your blood, replaces you into great bliss, into nectar. Okay? But in Hiruka's practice, there's no blood offerings. There's no blood sacrifices. There's no animal sacrifices. There's no blood involved at all. Okay, so you don't need to freak out. Later when we practice Vajrayogini Hawa, we have to offer our husbands up. I know some of you would like to offer your husbands up, but no. There is no such ceremony in Tibetan Buddhism, certainly. So when I say Hiruka Vajrayogini, see Vajrayogini is Hiruka in female form. Hiruka is Vajrayogini in male form. Why do I put the female form? Because she has 2 arms, 1 face, easier. The male form has 12 arms, too many things for you guys to meditate. You're already complicated. All right? Now, many times when Pabongkha he travels with the entourage. And whenever he comes upon a Hiruka statue, many people will see nectar coming from Hiruka's mouth. White liquid, and people will catch it and make pills from it to eat, to heal their bodies. Wherever he goes, people always see Hiruka emitting something from the mouth. Okay? When he first went there, this image spoke to him. So in this case, when he went to Chimburi, the statue of Hiruka actually spoke to him with witnesses. It opened its mouth and a tremendous amount of nectar came out. Pabongkha collected the nectar from the mouth of Hiruka while in the presence of 60 to 70 witnesses. This nectar was then made into the nectar pill. The Gelugpa current nectar pills originate from there. So in these days, the Gelugpa lamas have this special nectar that they use to bless people. Okay, it's very powerful nectar to bless people. This one comes from Pabongkha. Okay, so this is very, very powerful stuff if you know how to use it. Of course, I'm not going to tell you, then I won't have any more business. So you guys have to stick around if you want to learn more about this. I'm going to cover it up so you guys can't see it. Mystery wins the day. It also stated that in the very same cave in Chimburi, where Pabongkha received the nectar from the Hiruka image, was the place where Hiruka promised the following. So when he came to Chimburi, Hiruka spoke nectars came out, and Hiruka made a prediction to Pabongkha. From now on, for the next 7 generations, whoever practices my teachings, I will protect and help them. That is why Pabongkha is also considered a living Hiruka. Many people receive the Hiruka Body Mandala teachings from him. And if you happen to fall within the 7th generation category, you are indeed very blessed. It is said that you will attain attainments much faster. Okay? Why am I going over this? Because he's the author of what we are reading. If you know how great the author is, you will have even more faith. If you're good little Dharma students, and I think most of you are, I would go home and read this blog post. You just go to my blog and you type in the search area, Pabongkha, this will come out. And you should read this story tonight, part of it tomorrow, so at least the last thing you went to bed was something good. And you should learn this biography very well, share it with others, so that when they study the Lam Rim, they will have more faith.